Hi everyone, it's Claire, and it is solar eclipse in Libra and a new moon in Libra. So it's the 2nd of October 2024, and I'm just going to summarize 3 of the astrologers that I look at for this. So I've looked at Pam Gregory, Tania, Gabrielle and Molly McCord, and I had 9 pages of writing and I've got it down to 4, so hopefully it's a bit shorter than normal. But it is an actual emotional time. The eclipse, solar eclipse, can be very emotional, and really this is no exception. It's in Libra, and I actually see pictures in my kind of third eye, which is, mind's eye, and I kind of saw a funny one, which was 2 types of scales. So it was kind of a bit silly, really, but scales balancing themselves. So it's all about balance, really, and gaining that if you can, and you're going to have to do possibly some inner work to get there. So when I looked at Pam, she really had quite a lot to say on this, and a very busy chart. And she said around the 9th of October, Jupiter is stationary retrograde in Gemini. And so it's about redoing. That's when that planet, particularly Jupiter, is enormous, and it begins to slow down and then goes really, much, much slower, but it's closer to Earth. And what happens is you can feel that you need to do things relating to the planets there, and Jupiter and Gemini. So really it's about redoing facts, maybe information, and you might even have review of your beliefs. So that's interesting. Then she said about the 13th of October, Mercury squares Pluto and Capricorn. I'll say a bit more in a minute on that. On the 14th of October, Mercury is in Scorpio, and secrets come to light with Scorpio, which likes finding out about secrets, and it's quite secretive, but it can also mean, we look at secrets. And Venus opposes Uranus, which might mean out of the blue strange pairings happen, or new relationship. Could mean from someone comes out of the blue from abroad, or their difference in age, great difference, and it may awaken someone and may give them greater independence, and may strengthen them in some way. So also she thinks that in October there's a pressure cooker feeling, and there's a full moon. This new moon is leading up to a full moon in Aries, which can be very emotional, very powerful, and about the I am and who I am. So this might be groundwork preparing for that. And the eclipses, this one particularly with Libra, is close to the South Node, which is a collective to do with the past, and the collective meaning everyone, and big changes. It might mean big changes, and it can possibly feel like a wild card, like Uranus. So a strong sense of endings and beginning. Uranus is a planet which brings things out of nowhere, unusual things. You think we're genius sometimes, and great ideas and inspirations. But Libra itself is linked to the law, justice, the kind of scales of balance and so on, and putting yourself in someone else's shoes. And the shadow side of it can mean that someone loses a sense of self because they're putting themselves out to think of other people, and they're trying to patch things up between people and so on. This one particularly links as well with relationships. So Libra's ruled by Venus, which rules relationships and love, and relationships of all sorts, actually, friendships as well, even business partnerships. But be really careful, she says, and mindful of being in any victimhood. Instead of that, go towards let's do something that works for both of us. So what kind of compromise can happen, but it works and you get a win-win, and with something to do with being equitable and fairer. And there is also a powerful cardinal grand cross, including the Sun, Moon, Libra, Mercury, and I think a minor planet called Maki. And the 12th of October, Saturn is retrograde, and Pam thinks that time, around the 12th, is a big show of power and big news of some description, kind of on the world stage. So watch out for that on the 12th. towards the middle of October. And then around the 19th of October, Pluto moves into Aquarius from Capricorn. And that will link with more freedom and people power. So, you know, really it's going from Capricorn, which is more about top-down power, government power and so on, into people power of Aquarius and the new age kind of feeling. And then 13th of October, Mercury squares Pluto, Libra and Capricorn. And that 14th of October is Mercury moving to Scorpio and secrets can be revealed. Venus opposes Uranus, so this sudden out of the blue relationship thing happening around then as well. So that she's given more of a timeline this time, which is quite helpful. And then Tania Gabrielle, she mentioned the timings of the new moon and eclipse would be 7:49 p.m. London on the 2nd of October, 2:41 New York and 7:49 LA. And it's the final eclipse of 2024 in Libra and about harmony, and the sun and moon are together. And she mentioned a code, a 10, because she's into numerology, manifesting, and that can be like representing male, female and source code. And so it's quite a powerful number, and it's the one that links to the double digits. And she mentioned the grand trine, Venus, Saturn, Mars, which is also known as the mother, father, child trine as well, and be more mindful at the new moon. She mentioned Sun, Moon, Mercury square to Mars in Cancer, which might mean some friction. And Mars is in Cancer, the water sign, for 6 months, which is quite a long time. But this grand trine helps soften that. Mars can cause some friction and some real action feeling, but the grand trine with Venus, Saturn and Mars can help bring in more harmony and love. So there might be, you know, a bit more of a balance going on, and putting yourself in other shoes, as I already mentioned, she mentioned again. And then we're on to Molly McCord, who is also really good at explaining things, and she always has a different way of seeing things. And she thinks it's a real reset and cleanse solar eclipse in Libra, 2:48 Eastern time, which is the UK time. And Sun, Moon in Libra, 10 degrees, 8 minutes, conjunct Mercury, and working with the South Node about endings, completions, and often as well in the collective. And so look, where are we ready to change, and what are we conscious about, what we want to leave, or what we want to leave on the table behind us. And also linking in with Gemini, Mercury, air, is there more we need to express? And 10 degrees Libra eclipse was also in 2005, 19 years ago, late 2005. So was there some theme occurring in our lives at that point? I actually got married to my second husband then, so but I don't know what we were doing towards the end of that year, but there was a real kind of feeling of being supported and, you know, that type of thing, really, or working together on goals. But if you think back for yourself, what were you doing in 2005, if you were around then, and what was the theme? And where we have over-compromised, look at that, because Libra can compromise too much on its shadow side, really. And look at any sort of forms of manipulation and uncomfortable questions and dynamics. Can we love ourselves more? And also the water grand trine, she mentioned Mars, Cancer, Saturn and Pisces retrograde, Venus and Mars. And because it's water, quite a lot of water signs mentioned there, Pisces, Cancer, and you've got Venus and Mars linking in with Scorpio, flushing out what needs to go, flush away possibly childhood issues, things that pissed you off. You can maybe, that is something that needs to be examined to release at this point. And Mars in Cancer, so feelings may come to light, really about really also desiring to move forward and not to relive old trauma and emotions. And it's really very much, I looked at 2 of Molly's videos around this time, and she really talks a lot about upgrading relationships and the fact that possibly we need to know our partners more or go deeper into the heart about what we need from others in partnerships. And we may have experienced relationships, possibly, she said in one video, for a reason, for a season, or for a lifetime. And if it's for a reason, that would have, might have played out. And now it's time to move on. And so as we grow upwards and develop who we are authentically, as things are developing and moving upwards, we may lose some relationships that no longer are really aligned with our purpose and who we are and our authentic selves. And we may gain new ones which are more aligned with who we are now, because we've all been through some massive changes in the last few years, really. And Libra is also good at negotiating win-wins, so especially in business, actually. So you can look at rediscussing things. What are our choices? What are our next steps? And looking at more balance and moving from old contracts into new ones. And often less is more, she talked about, and it's okay even to leave kind of 90% behind if that's what's going to make you feel better. And it prepares us fully emotionally for the full moon in Aries on October the 17th. So set intentions now for this first half of the month, and because apparently there'll be no more Libra new moons for 8 or 9 years. So this one is a big one for endings and clearings. So happy new moon in Libra. Hope it's not too emotional or traumatic in any way. There are a lot of things happening on the planet at the moment, and sometimes these eclipses can work, with the world as well. The eclipse trajectory thing, whatever you call it, looks like an S-curve, and it's particularly around, I think it's in the Pacific, starts and then round South America and back round. So it's in that particular area people will be able to see it, and it's just one of the ring ones. I think it's I forget the name of it, annular or something, and but it looks like a ring. So yeah, it's going to be good for the people seeing it. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you hopefully at the full moon as well. Happy new moon in Libra. Bye bye.